Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today on the Agent Excel podcast. And today I did another solo show. I'm going to do probably a few more of those. I know I do a lot of the interview style with other realtors, but every once in a while I like to just jump on and tell you what I'm doing in my business. And so this week I thought I would talk to you a little bit more about how I do um, my marketing and what my systems are to keep in contact with my past clients and my network and just the people around me, like how I reach out to them, how I stay in contact with them. And as you guys probably know, like I'm not very salesy. So I've always just tried to develop like frameworks on what I could do and just processes on how I could stay in contact with people and try to be a cool guy that sells real estate, not bother people too much, but still let them know I'm around. So that's what this week's podcast is about. I hope you enjoy it and just take some notes, and there's going to be some really good links in the show notes that I think you guys can utilize. That'll be powerful for your business. So enjoy the show. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today on the Agent Excel podcast. And today I'm doing a solo show. I wanted to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart. You know, we get a lot of repeat and referral business at my company, and that's really how we built our business. Our bread and butter was always repeat and referral business, and we did it systematically. So doing this for 17 years, we put some systems in place, and I just wanted to get on the podcast today and explain to you what I do, like really my framework of how I put it all together. And so I really want people to start focusing more on their repeat and referral business. I want you to think of like all the people that you know, like your past clients, your friends, your family, your Facebook friends, all the people on social. And the goal is like we're always so into like always like these online leads and open houses and just Zillow leads, and everything seems to always be a lead, a lead, a lead. And even though I have certain things that I do in my business where I pay for leads and certain things that I do where I'm getting leads, my bread and butter and what I've always been good at and love, and it just seems to resonate with me and feel the most fun, is getting people in my network to refer me people who want to buy and sell a house. There's just like nothing better than that feeling of being referred. And the cost to get a piece of business is so much lower when you're referred. The trust levels there, you're not having to build the trust because they're not brand new. Like the trust is being passed from the friend that passed you over to this person or gave you their name. So that's what I want to talk about today. So let's start off with just the framework. And so I remember, like I said, 17 years ago when I decided, like, I didn't want to be somebody who cold called and called a lot of people. It's never been my style. And I remember people telling me when I got into the business, hey, there's a ton of realtors. I got in the business in '06, and they were like, there's a lot of realtors. You're going to have to make calls, this and that. And just like, that wasn't my style. So I had to figure out how I was going to make my way in the real estate business and work it around my personality. But as I worked it around my personality, it was still very systematic. I just didn't want to pound the phones every day, calling 100 people, trying to find people that wanted to buy and sell. So I did it a little bit differently. So here's the framework, how I think of it. So let's go through this. So it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, and transactionally. So that's how I think of marketing. So every year, and a lot of this stuff we just duplicate year after year. Sometimes we'll add some things or change some things up or tweak it just a little bit. But that's the framework. It's yearly, what are we going to, or it's weekly, what are we going to do? Monthly, what are we going to do? Quarterly, what are we going to do? And then it's going to be yearly and then transactionally. And so let me explain that. So let's start off with just like, I guess we could say like get people into a CRM, whatever CRM you're using. You've got to usually use a CRM. I guess you could use a spreadsheet if you wanted to. It's not going to do everything, but it would be the like least you could do. But let's just say you have a CRM, and now like I don't want to have a huge conversation about what CRM. So let's just act like you have one. Everybody you know is in one. And now you're just thinking like, how do I market to these people? Because I think that's what people are most confused on, is like, how do I consistently market to 3, 4, 500 people where I don't look salesy, but that they'll give me 50, 60, 70 referrals a year. And so let's talk about weekly. So weekly, what I want you to do is like, you could do this on Sunday or Monday when you come into the office. I want you to look at people's birthdays. So you can go on social, usually like Facebook, and it'll say upcoming birthdays. find all the people's birthdays that are coming up that week and make sure that you're reaching out to them. And what I would do if I were you is send them a card to their house. Like, people are losing touch with that whole personal touch. And I would go back to that more than ever. The more the world leans on technology, I will go back to just the old school, send a handwritten card that says happy birthday. But what you got to do is, like, on Monday, you got to pull up your upcoming birthdays so you're prepared for that. So go to the store, get some birthday cards, and just put them on your desk and just set a reminder on your phone every Monday, 8 a.m. I'm going to look up all the people's birthdays that are coming up and send out birthday cards. Boom, there you go. Like, that's one thing you could be doing weekly right now, that you're getting something out to people. And as I built this framework, I always come from the perspective of how do I do how do I do more fun things? Like, if I'm trying to touch on people like 35, 40 times a year, like, how can a lot of them be like personal things or more things of value that I don't look salesy? So weekly, do birthday cards. Then what I want you to do weekly is, instead of just aimlessly scrolling through social media weekly, look for reasons that you could actually connect with people. People get a promotion that, let's say a family member passes away, a dog passes away, or an animal or a pet. That's stuff where you want to be in their lives and you want to either text them. Sometimes I send flowers to people if I feel that it's appropriate. But weekly, I'm looking for ways to stay involved in people's lives, make them, congratulate them, or, have empathy for them, or, just tell them you're thinking of them, things like that. So weekly, it's going to be birthday cards. And on social, you're looking for ways that you can stay in touch with them, whether it's through, like I said, fun stuff or sad stuff, but you're there with them. So that's weekly. Now let's do monthly. So monthly, we send postcards out every single month. And every single month, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a link in the show notes, and it's going to be a link that you can go to, and you're going to see a lot of this stuff. It's one page on our website, and it shows you like what our postcard looks like as we talk about letters, magnets, all this stuff's going to be on this link. So it'll be in the show notes. But so monthly postcards, like every month we send out postcards. Usually never fails. We actually got them systematic now. It used to be like, I remember back in the day, it was, I would get the postcards from the print shop. I would print off labels. I'd put the labels on. I would put stamps on. I would take them to the mailbox, and I did everything. Then finally, it was like my wife would help me. Then it was my assistant would do them. Then now we have a print shop that does, they pretty much just take care of everything. They print the postcards. They print the addresses on there because we send them a CSV file from our spreadsheet. We already have an indicia where like the stamp is a permit. It's systematic now. But with that being said, it wasn't always systematic. It was just get postcards done. It was put labels on them. It was put old fashioned stamps on them and get them out. And so what you'll do is, if you go to that link that I put in the show notes, you'll be able to see what my postcard looks like front and back. But I was always very specific with how my postcards look. I always wanted it to be branded. I always wanted there to be homes that I had been selling on there. And those go out every single month. And so that's what people are getting from me on a consistent basis. I still have like clients that'll text me and say, I got my postcard. A lot of people, if their house is on there, they'll say like, oh, my house made the cut again. And so that's what we're doing, monthly postcards. Now, a few other things that we're doing on a monthly basis is we're doing 2 video emails every single month. So these are educational videos, and you can pay services to do this for you, or you could do them yourself. I actually have my assistant in my office. After I make the video, she edits the video for me. She puts it into like the email system. She puts it on YouTube, and she sends the email out to people so that they can watch it. And then she also has some tracking in the emails so that she can see who's clicked on certain things, and she gives me a report so that I know. So what those look like is, people, they overthink video. I think people are just very cautious of video. A lot of us don't like the way we sound. It's like, even when I listen back to this podcast, sometimes I'm just like, whoa, is that what I sound like? But, we're all like, everybody's listened to like a voicemail that they left and they don't like the sound of their voice. Just remember, like, that's usually just you thinking that. I mean, just think that everybody that you listen to on podcasts or the radio, they probably all have the same feeling about themselves, but yet you're listening to them. So I think we just all have our own securities. And I'm thankful that we're actually in a world now that I think is more authentic than ever. I think with social media, one of the good things is we have so much video that's going on that we don't have to have everything so highly produced. I think like 8, 9 years ago, you felt like you needed everything to be produced at a higher level. And I feel now like you can just use a webcam, get it on YouTube, get some lighting, maybe a little bit of lighting. And like, for example, if you watch my podcast that I'm doing right now on YouTube, you'll see it's just a pretty basic setup. But let's talk about the video. So it's the topic. So like today I actually recorded 2 videos that would go out this month that my assistant's going to send out. And one of them was on price reductions. And go to my YouTube channel. I'll link it in the show notes. Just go there, look at them if you want. And you can see what I would do is you could just follow my channel, just subscribe, just duplicate everything I'm talking about if you wanted to. I get a lot of ideas from following other realtors' channels. And just note that you're sending these emails out to your network. So they want to see your face. Like you could be giving the same news as every other realtor that you're watching, but by you delivering that to your network, you're the authority of the one delivering stuff. So the videos that I made today, one was on price reductions. I was just talking about why people are seeing so many price reductions in Arizona. I explained why. I explained why there's nothing to be worried about. And that's just the reason that's what happens when you go from 3,000 homes to 18,000 homes on the market. And once that levels off and everybody, kind of figures out where pricing is, that'll probably stop at a certain point. That was one video I sent out or that I recorded. And then another video I recorded was on HomeBot. So that's a system that, we subscribe our clients to that emails them out monthly. And I was basically just telling my network, if you have a HomeBot account, which we've set many people up, how to utilize it better. And if they don't have one, the video was saying, click on the link below and they could sign up for one. So this goes out to about 15,000 people in my database. Now, note, these are a lot of online leads and things like that. So like, I don't know all these people, but it's just leverage activities where I say these people are getting to know me. And then those emails go on the YouTube channel. My assistant emails them out to, my whole database, my past clients. And then that's something that people see. They're hearing me talk about price reductions. They're hearing me talk about the HomeBot reports and things like that. So, it was actually interesting. I got a lead the other day off Zillow, and I was talking to her, and later she had texted me and she said, "Hey, I was watching some of your videos on YouTube." That's just cool. I'm like, I made that video one time and, people watch it. And like for her to say that, I probably had some influence on her. So when she went to go research me, that's obviously what she did when we got off the phone. As she researched me, she probably put in my name in Google and she saw videos. She clicked on them. It's me. And it's really awesome because it's something I did one time. And if she went through, like, let's say somebody went through and like watched 5, 6, 10 videos, they could feel like they're spending an hour with me and I'm actually not spending any time with them. So I'm building trust with them through something that I leveraged out and did one time that could just be, keep going out to people when they're watching it. So that's the monthly. So monthly postcards go out every single month, and then 2 videos go out. So the 1st and the 15th, an educational video goes out, and those go out on a monthly basis, twice a month. Then what goes out, another leverage activity, is the HomeBots. So the video that I was just explaining was me sending, that was my last video I sent out to my network, but like I actually have a HomeBot account. We'll put the link in the show notes, but it's like $25. It's probably one of the most opened emails that I send to my past clients. And what you do is you just go in there and you put in your client's name, the address, and their email address. And every single month, it's going to email them a home value report. And I last week had a client call me and said, "Hey, Chris, I got your home value report last week. I want to talk about selling and buying my house." And what was great about that is I haven't talked to this past client in a long time. And so you just realize you're like, whoa, like that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Like what a leveraged activity that you could pay $25 a month for something. And once you put somebody in one time, they're going to get something every single month from you to keep them up to speed on what their home value is. There's a lot of other benefits to HomeBot. If you just go in there and sign up for an account, put your own address, put your own name, address, and email in there. You'll see what the report looks like. And I think you'll be shocked. You're going to be like, that's a really good way to stay in contact with my past clients and my network. So there it is. So we went over weekly, we went over monthly. And so now let's go over quarterly. So quarterly is pretty simple. So basically I have everybody in a CRM. And so I know I told you like 15,000 people are in my CRM. A lot of those are online leads. So I only print off the list of people that I know, like my network and my past clients. So what I do is every quarter, there's 4 quarters a year, right? So on your phone right now, like this is how we get systematic. On your phone, set up a reminder now for every single quarter at 8 a.m. on the first month of at the beginning of every quarter, that at 8 a.m. it reminds you to print off your network list or your past clients in your CRM. So what I want you to do, I want you to do kind of the old school way. I want you to print this off. So print it off. Some pages are going to print out, staple it, right? Find out how many people are on that list. That's what we do first. And then second, what we do is divide that into 60. There's about 60 business days in a quarter, just simple math, 60 business days in a quarter, and figure out what that number is. And so you're taking how many contacts you have, dividing it by 60. I want you on the top of that first page of your list of people, write the number. So it was everybody that you had that was a past client network. How many people are there divided by 60? Put that number in the top left corner. That's how many people you need to reach out to every business day that you go into your office and to stay in contact with them every quarter. So every day you're going to reach out to that many people. And in the top right of that page, I want you to write what you're doing that quarter. So it's very clear. And so some things that I do is some quarters I just send text. So like I'll put in the right corner text. And so when I get into the office, let's say it said 9 in the left corner and it said text in the right corner, I would just go through and I text 9 people and I highlight them off as I do it. And then that's what I do. And you don't want to get too ambitious. Some people are like, I'm going to text 100 or 200 people in one day. I think you got to be cautious of how you do this because these people are going to text you back. As you guys all know how text messaging works. You text somebody, they text you back. It could go for 3 days at that point, and that's fine. It's just that's why you don't want to get involved in 100. You don't want to just dish out 100 or 200 texts at one time because you have to keep up with all those conversations. That's why I just say slow and steady. Just divide it by 60. Do whatever you're supposed to do that quarter. And then if, like, let's say it said 9 and you were texting them, text those 9 people. You're done. You're having conversations with them all throughout the day. You're still doing your business, your work, you're closing deals. The next day, you do 9 more. You're still doing work, business, and deals. And when you get done at the end of the quarter, you're like, whoa, I reached out to everybody in my network via text. Then let's say the next quarter comes along, print off the list again. Let's say you've probably added more people in now. So when you divide it by 60, there's probably a few more that you put in the left corner, the number. Let's say this quarter, I'm doing this right now. I'm doing Starbucks gift cards. So I went and bought a ton of Starbucks gift cards, $10 Starbucks gift cards, and I'm writing notes. And I write notes to my clients, and it's, stuff like, hey, I've been in the, I was thinking of you today, and I've been in business for 17 years, and it's people like you that keep me in business, and I'll always remember that. Like just stuff like that. Sometimes I'm just texting or I'm writing a card that says, just thinking of you today, wanted to say hello, hope we can get together soon. But you just want to know like what your message is and you get those out. So like some quarters I'm sending text messages, some quarters I'm sending note cards with $10 Starbucks gift cards in them. And like, for example, if I was sending out note cards with gift cards, which I'm doing right now personally, I just write a note to that person. I look at the list, I write a note to that person, put a $10 Starbucks gift card, mail it out. Do how many ever I'm supposed to do. Every day you do that. By the end of the quarter, you're like, hey, I just mailed out everybody that was in my network what I needed to mail them out that quarter. And, if you want to do the phone, one quarter, you could do the phone. Not really too into the phone on calling people. But like mine's more of a text. So I would just text them. But that's kind of it. Like there's probably once or twice a year where I'll do a note card and a gift card. And then probably twice a year where I'm doing just a text message and I'm just saying, hey, how you doing? How's the family doing? And so that's what quarterly looks like. So now we've did weekly, we've did monthly, and we've did quarterly. So now let's talk about yearly. Yearly, we do a note card every year that'll say like something like it, in 2022, 94% of our business came from repeat referral business. It's people like you that keep us in business, and we'll always remember that. And that'll probably be and that one we might put a magnet in it or something like that. But that's actually going to be like a note card that we would get from like notecardcafe.com. We'll put the link in the show notes below so you have it. But yeah, so like that would be something we do once a year. Also, what we do every single year is we send a letter out to people with a magnet in it. And our magnet it's like kind of like our business card. And magnets, if you've ever heard me speak, I consider them like billboards. I have many people who put magnets on their fridge. I have people all the time that'll text me and say, I saw this magnet at this person's house because, the networks all kind of commingle with each other. And so you want to get magnets out. So we do a letter every year that says, here's the 8 ways that you could refer us business. So it's a letter that says, here's the eight things that you could hear from people that would make you refer us. And it talks about downsizing, upsizing, divorce, death, like moving out of state, job relocation. So it's just one letter with our letterhead. And we send that out as a magnet. That's once a year. So a note card once a year, the letter with the magnet once a year, and then we do a New Year's card once a year. And that's just usually my wife and I and our dog Emma. And it'll just be a picture of us. And that's really, no business in it. It's just, wishing them a happy new year. And that's now like when you think, so when people say like, Chris, how do you get all these referrals? And, like, what are you doing? Like, that's what you do. Like, it's just, you just need to get out one piece of paper and figure out what your process is going to be. And you can see that I've been doing this for a long time, that like, if someone said, hey, what do you do with your network? Like, how do you communicate with them? How do you market to them? Like, I just did this. I'm freestyling this right now. I just know what we do because I do it every year. We change some things here and there, but very rarely. Has there ever been a month where we've missed postcards? I'm sure. Has there ever been a time we've sent out the letter on the wrong month and we send it a different month? Sure. Like, this isn't about perfection. Even with the reaching out to people, let's say that quarter you're texting people. Let's say like you take off for a week, you go on vacation and you don't text anybody. Let's just say, okay, like, cool, you took off. That's what you're supposed to do if you want to. And so when you get back next week, like, just catch up. Or if you don't, instead of it taking, 3 months, it took 3 months and 1 week. Like, it's not to be perfect. It's that you're doing something that you can wake up at the end of the year and say, I have somewhat of a system that I have in place on how I reach out to people. So that's our weekly, that's our monthly, that's our quarterly, that's our yearly. The next one is going to be transactional. So when we're in a transaction, we try to keep things very fun. You can send out like Starbucks gift cards whenever you meet with a buyer for the first time and set them up on their search and just say like, hey, go get a Starbucks and look at your home portal and dream about houses, just things like that. You're just trying to make the experience fun. You could send them moving boxes after the appraisal, like get moving boxes to their house with a note that says like, it's time to start packing. So those are the things like you want to figure out how in the transaction to have a few fun pieces that no other realtor's doing, just so they can say like, hey, you know what, this person's thoughtful, they're systematic, they think of people. But yeah, so that's basically our marketing plan. And then another thing that I would like to just add into this, not that it's really our marketing plan, but kind of like keep the fire alive. And so basically when you close on a client, with buyers, let's say you might have been working with a buyer for like 45 days, 60 days, and you're talking to them every single day. And then all of a sudden you close on the transaction. That's something where like we call that keep the fire alive. So just position this different. And it's probably why we get a lot of referrals. Act like the closing day, like the day they get their keys, you get your check and the house closes. Act like that's the starting line and not the finish line. So to keep the fire alive, we just have a system in our office where when somebody closes on a house, the next day, that's day one. And we have a system set up where it texts me and says the person's last name, day one, then day two, day three, day 7, day 14, 31, 6 month, and 1 year. And this is all set up in our CRM. And so when somebody like I think we had a few closings today. So tomorrow I'll get text messages and it'll say the client's last name and day one. And when I get that message, I know text that client and say, hey, how's the move doing? Do you need anything? Then day two, it'll message me and say, follow up with them. I follow up with them again. And it's not perfect. Like there are some days where like I might not do day two because we had so much conversation on day one, but like it's just so it notifies you because some of us can get so busy. We can get wrapped up in new business or what we've got going on that we just don't want to forget, because there are some certain milestones where like day 7's cool. Like, hey, you've been on the property 1 week. Hope all is well. How's the moving doing? And then in this process, this is, like I said, why you probably get so many referrals, because you're engaging so much after the closing, where I think a lot of realtors disengage at the closing. It's almost like, okay, we're done. Bye. And then they're always wondering why they're not getting any repeat business or referrals. And we just stay in contact with them. And because during that 7 days, you'll find out like they need a landscaper and they need a plumber, an electrician, and a lawn guy. And just, they need all this stuff. And like you being a resource for them is like so cool. So those are things that you want to think of. And also what's really cool is when 6 month and 1 year, when those texts come to you or messages, and it's like, hey, it's this person's, 6 month anniversary, and you text them and you're like, hey, hey, Josh, like, your 6-month home anniversary. How's the house doing? When you do that stuff, they're thinking like, whoa, like it's been 6 months. Like, not only is it cool that he remembered me, but also that like, how the heck does he like actually remember like 6 months? And I've had people be like, man, you just remember everything. I'm like, yep, I do. And that's just, it's systems. We built them. And I mean, they're really, really simple. And it's just things that we want to do to always make sure that we're having the best client experience. So that's what I wanted to talk about today on the podcast. I know it was probably a shorter one, but I just wanted to go over because it's so powerful and we get a lot of referrals in our business. But it's just what my goal is that if you heard this and you're like, whoa, like I want to do something like that. Maybe there were some things that I do that you're like, I don't want to do that. My goal by this podcast today was just like, do you believe or do you subscribe to that model? I say that a lot. Like, do you subscribe to the model, like the philosophy of what I was talking about? Like, do you think that do you want repeat referral business? One, and then if you do you think that having a system around it would be beneficial? I was just telling you what I do. So now what I want you to do is the coolest part is just solve your marketing plan. Like, get out. I always just say like, get out one piece of paper and a pen, and you can usually solve everything right there. And you could just say like, hey, this is what I want to do weekly. This is what I want to do, monthly. This is what I want to do quarterly, yearly. And right there, you just build the plan, and you don't have to make it too complex, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. But once you have a plan together, then what you can do is, as the years go on, like we've added to it, like this is the first year where we're probably going to do a client appreciation party. And then what we'll do is, now that we're adding that into our whole process, we'll probably have one every single year. But that's something that I couldn't pull off, 10 and 15 years ago. And being in the business for 17 years, that's something I still haven't pulled off. But it's probably going to be the first year where we do it. And that'll be, now when I'm talking about this next year, that'll be just something that seems so systematic. And when I'm saying it to people, it's just going to feel like it's a part of our business. So, I hope this resonated with some people on just the way they want to do business. And there's going to be a lot of links in the show notes today on just like things that you guys could use. Once again, I said that I would leave a link to my Agent Excel website on where I train agents. And if you click on that link, that's going to take you, like I said, to one page that breaks down. You're going to see the postcard that I send out. You're going to see the letters I send out, the magnet, and just really you're going to see the whole entire plan on one page. And hopefully that'll make a lot of sense for you. So reach out if you have any questions. I'm always down to help anybody. So if you have any questions, just, find me, ask the question. I'd be happy to help. So I hope you all have a good day, and take care.